Hello, 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 and hello. Hope you're all doing good. Hope you're all doing good. My voice is still a little gone, so we'll probably not. Probably still read for chat, but probably gonna hurt a lot. But we'll see how that goes. All right, let's continue with this. Where did I leave off? Okay. It was clear to Tolman that the rats that have been allowed to experience a maze, even without any reinforcement, have nevertheless learned something. And Tolman called this latent learning. Latent learning refers to learning that is not reinforced and not demonstrated until there's motivation to do so. Tolman argued that the rats had formed a cognitive map of the maze, but did not demonstrate this knowledge until they received reinforcement. Observational learning by watching. The idea of latent learning suggests that animals and people may learn simply by experiencing or watching. Observational learning, modeling as others may know it as, is learning by observing the behavior of others. To demonstrate the importance of observational learning in children, Bandura, Ross, imitation of film-mediated aggressive models. Oh, okay, this is just a bunch of showed children a live image of either a man or a woman interacting with the Bubble doll. A filmed version of the same event, or a cartoon version of event, as you can see. Note. The Bubble doll is an inflatable balloon with the weight in the bottom that makes it bob back up when you knock it down. In altered conditions, the model violently punched the clown, kicked the doll, sat on it, and hit it with a hammer. The researchers first let the children view one of the three types of modeling, and they let them play in a room in which there were some really fun toys. To create some frustration in the children, Bandura let the children play with the fun toys for only a couple minutes before taking them away. Then Bandura gave the children a chance to play with the Bobo doll. If you guess that most of the children imitated the model, you'll be correct. Regardless of which type of modeling the children had seen, regardless of the sex of the model or the child, the children who had seen the model behaved aggressively, just as the model had done. What? The children who had seen the model behaved aggressively, just as the model had done. They also punched, kicked, sat on the doll, and hit it with the hammer. Bandura and his colleagues had demonstrated that these children had learned new behaviors simply by observing and imitating others. Observational learning is useful for animals and for people because it allows us to learn without having to actually engage in what might be a risky behavior. Monkeys that see other monkeys respond with fear to the sight of a snake learn to fear the snake themselves, even if they have been raised in a laboratory and have never actually seen a snake. Selective association is the observational conditioning of a fear and reassessment. Oh, okay, never mind. The prospects for human survival would be slim indeed if one could learn only by suffering the consequences of trial and error. For this reason, one does not teach children to swim. Sorry, I'm having a lot of indigestion right now. I don't even know why. Adolescents to drive automobiles and novice medical students to perform surgery by having them discover the appropriate behavior to the consequences of their success. Oh my god. To drive automobiles and novice medical students to perform surgery by having them discover the appropriate behavior through the consequences of their successes and failures. The more costly and hazardous possible. I cannot read. Wow. The more costly and hazardous the possible mistakes, the heavier is the reliance on observational learning from competent learners. Although modeling is normally adaptive, it can be problematic for children who grew up in violent families. These children are not only the victims of aggression, but they also see it happening to their parents and siblings. Oh my goodness gracious, dude. I'm just getting constant indigestion. Jesus Christ. Because children learn how to be parents in large part by modeling the actions of their own parents, it is no surprise that there is a strong correlation between family violence in childhood and violence as an adult. Children who witness their parents being violent, who are themselves abused, are more likely as adults to inflict abuse on intimate partners or their children and to be victims of intimate violence. Do child abuse and interparental violence lead to adulthood family violence? In turn, their children are more likely to interact violently with each other and to aggress against their parents. This is a research. Alright. Research focus the effects of violent video games on aggression. The average American child watches more than 4 hours of television every day, and that's way longer now, unfortunately. And 2 out of 3 of the programs they watch contain aggression. It has been estimated that by the age of 12, the average American child has seen more than 8,000 murders and 100,000 acts of violence. At the same time, children are also exposed to violence in movies, video games, and virtual reality games, as well as music and videos that include violent lyrics and imagery. It might not surprise you to hear that these exposures to violence have an effect on aggressive behavior. The evidence is impressive and clear. The more media violence people, including children, view, the more aggressive they are likely to be. Some hazards of television viewing: fears, aggression, and sexual attitudes. Thousand Oaks, California. Sage. The relation between viewing television violence and aggressive behavior is about as strong as a relation between smoking and cancer, or between studying and academic grades. People who watch more violence become more aggressive than those who watch less violence. It is clear that watching television violence can increase aggression, but what about violent video games? The games are more popular than ever, and also more graphically violent. Youths spend countless hours playing these games, many of which involve engaging in extreme violent behaviors. The games often require the players to take the role of a violent person, to identify with the characters, to select victims, and of course to kill the victims. These behaviors are reinforced by winning points and moving on to higher levels, and are repeated over and over. Again, the answer is clear. Playing violent video games leads to aggression. That's always like a rough one. A recent meta-analysis by Anderson and Bushman effects of violent video games on aggressive behavior, aggressive cognition, aggressive effect, physiological arousal, and pro-social behavior. A meta-analytic review of the scientific literature, psychological science, reviewed 35 research studies that have tested the effects of playing violent video games on aggression. These studies included both experimental and correlational studies with both male and female participants in both laboratory and field settings. They found that exposure to violent video games is significantly linked to increase in aggressive thoughts, aggressive feelings, psychological arousal, including blood pressure and heart rate, as well as aggressive behavior. Furthermore, playing more video games was found to relate less altruistic behavior. In one experiment, Bushman and Anderson assessed the effects of viewing violent video games on aggressive thoughts and behavior. Participants were randomly assigned to play either a violent or non-violent video game for 20 minutes. Each participant played 1 of 4 violent video games: Carmageddon, Duke Nukem, Mortal Kombat, or Future Cop, or one of the non-violent video games: Glider Pro, 3D Pinball, Austin Powers, or Tetra Madness. Participants then read a story, for instance, this one about Todd, and were asked to list 20 thoughts, feelings, and actions about how they would respond if they were Todd. Todd was on his way home from work one evening when he had to take a break quickly for a yellow light. The person in the car behind him must have thought Todd was going to run the light, because he crashed into the back of Todd's car, causing a lot of damage to both vehicles. Fortunately, there were no injuries. Todd got out of his car and surveyed the damage, and he walked over to the other car. What the hell? As you can see in Fixture 7.9, results from Bushman and Anderson 2002, the students who had played one of the violent video games responded much more aggressively to the story than did those who played non-violent video games. In fact, the responses were often extremely aggressive. They said things like, call the guy an idiot, kick the other driver's car, the guy's dead meat, and what a dumbass. I think what a dumbass is fine. An idiot, yeah, I'd say that's perfectly fine too. Kick the other driver's car or this guy's dead meat, that's just crazy. Anderson and Bushman found that college students who had just played a violent video game expressed significantly more violent responses to a story than they do who played a non-violent video game. However, although modeling can increase violence, it can also have positive effects. Research has found that children learn to be aggressive through observational learning. They can also learn to be altruistic in the same way. Alright, wait, now we gotta read this next one. It's actually not that long. It's actually not that bad. What's just this one? 7.4. Use the principles of learning to understand everyday behavior. Just gotta hit him with the D. Me continue. Chaves apenas. Okay. Okay, the principles of learning are some of the most general and most powerful in all psychology. It will be fair to say that these principles account for more behavior using fewer principles than any other set of psychological theories. The principles of learning are applied in numerous ways in everyday settings. For example, operant conditioning has been used to motivate employees to improve athletic performance, to increase the functioning of those suffering from developmental disabilities, to help parents successfully toilet train their children. Oh god, that's gonna be a fun one. Behavioral approaches to neuropsychological rehabilitation. Psychological bulletin. In this section, we'll consider how learning theories are used in advertising and education and understanding competitive relationships between individuals and groups. Damn, dude. I feel like a lot of gas build up in my stomach, and I feel like the urge to always burp, but nothing comes out. Probably like the soda I'm drinking. Classical conditioning has long been and continues to be an effective tool in marketing and advertising. The general idea is to create an advertisement that has positive features such that the ad creates enjoyment in the person exposed to it. The enjoyable ad serves as the unconditioned stimulus, and the enjoyment is the unconditioned response. Because the product being advertised is mentioned in the ad, it becomes associated with the US, and then becomes the conditioned stimulus. In the end, if everything has gone well, seeing the product online or in the store will then create a positive response in the buyer, leading him or her to be more likely to purchase the product. A similar strategy is used by corporations that sponsor teams or events. For instance, if people enjoy watching watching a college basketball team playing basketball, and if that team is sponsored by a product such as Pepsi, then people may end up experiencing positive feelings when they view a can of Pepsi. Of course, the sponsor wants to sponsor only good teams and good athletes because these create more pleasurable responses. Advertisers use a variety of techniques to create positive advertisement, including enjoyable music, cute babies, attractive models, and funny spokespeople. In one study, Gorn, the effects of music and advertising on choice behavior, a classical conditioning approach, showed research participants pictures of different writing pens of different colors, but paired one of the pens with pleasant music and the other with unpleasant music. When given a choice as a free gift, more people chose the pen color associated with the pleasant music. Okay. Does passing the Corbusier? Corbusier? Positive and negative evaluative conditioning effects on brand placements in music videos. Psychology found that people were more interested in products that had been embedded in music videos of artists that they liked, and likely to be interested when the products were in videos featuring artists that they did not like. Another type of ad that is based on principles of classical conditioning is one that associates fear with the use of a product or behavior, such as those that show pictures of deadly automobile accidents to encourage seatbelt use, or images of lung cancer surgery to discourage smoking. These ads have also been found to be effective. Fear appeals motivate acceptance of action, recommendations, evidence for positive bias in the processing of persuasive messages. A meta-analysis of fear appeals, implications for effective public health. Okay, due in large part the conditioning. Let's see, okay. Taken together then, There is ample evidence of the utility of classical conditioning using both positive as well as negative stimuli in advertising. This does not, however, mean that we are always influenced by these ads. The likelihood of conditioning being successful is greater for products that we do not know much about, where the differences between products are relatively minor, and we do not think carefully about the choices. Oh, it is okay. Okay. I should probably read that part too. Psychology in everyday life, operant conditioning in the classroom. John B. Watson and B.F. Skinner believe that all learning was a result of reinforcement, and thus the reinforcement could be used to educate children. For instance, Watson wrote in his book on behaviorism, "Give me a dozen healthy infants, well formed, in my own specified world to bring them up in, and I'll guarantee that any." Okay. Give me a dozen healthy infants, well formed, in my own specified world to bring them up in, and I'll guarantee to take away one at random and train them to become any type of specialist I might select: doctor, lawyer, artist, merchant, chief, and yes, even beggarman and thief, regardless of his talents, pensions, tendencies, abilities, vocations, and race of his ancestors. I'm going beyond my facts, and I admit it, but so have the advocates of the contrary, and they have been doing it for many thousands of years. Skinner promoted the use of program instruction, an educational tool that consists of self-teaching with the aid of specialized textbook or teaching machine that presents material in a logical sequence. Program instruction allows students to progress through a unit of their own rate, checking their own answers and advancing only after answering correctly. Program instruction is used today in many classes. For instance, to teach computer programming. Teaching Java, okay. Although reinforcement can be effective in education, and teachers make use of it by awarding gold stars, good grades, or praise, there are also substantial limitations to using rewards to improve learning. To be most effective, rewards must be contingent on appropriate behavior. In some cases, teachers may distribute rewards indiscriminately. For instance, by giving praise or good grades to children whose work does not warrant it, in the hope that they will feel good about themselves, and that the self-esteem will lead to better performance. Students indicate, however, that high self-esteem alone does not improve academic performance. Does high self-esteem cause better performance, interpersonal success, happiness, or healthier lifestyles? Psychological science and the public interest. When rewards are not earned, they become meaningless and no longer provide motivation for improvement. Another potential limitation of rewards is that they may teach children that the activity should be performed for the reward, rather than for one's own interest in the task. If rewards are offered too often, the task itself becomes less appealing. Mark Lepper and his colleagues. Undermining children's intrinsic interest was extrinsic reward, a test of the over-justification. Studied this possibility by leading some children to think that they engaged in an activity for reward rather than and because they simply enjoyed it. First, they placed some fun felt tipped markers in the classroom of the children they were studying. The children loved the markers and played with them right away. So the markers were taken out of the classroom, and the children were given a chance to play with the markers individually in an experimental session with the researcher. At the research session, the children were randomly assigned to one of the experimental groups. One group of children, the expected reward condition, was so that they play with the markers, they would receive a good drawing award. A second group, the unexpected reward condition, also play with the markers and also got the award, but they were not told ahead of time that they would be receiving the award. It came as a surprise after the session. The third group, the no reward group, played with the markers too, but got no award. Then the researchers placed the markers back in the classroom and observed how much the children in each of the three groups played with them. As you can see, figure 7.10, undermining intrinsic interest. The children who had been led to expect a reward for playing with the markers during the experimental session play with the markers less at the second session than they had at the first session. The idea is that when the children had to choose whether or not to play with the markers, whether the markers reappear in the classroom, they based their decision on their own prior behavior. The children in the no reward groups And the children in the unexpected reward group realize that they play with the markers because they like them. Children in the expected reward condition, however, remembered that they were promised a reward for the activity the last time they played with the marker. These children then were more likely to draw the inference that they play with the markers only for the external reward, and because they did not expect to get an award for playing with the markers in the classroom, they determined that they didn't like them. Expecting to receive the award at the session had undermined their initial interest in the markers. Damn. Interesting. This research suggests that although giving rewards may in many cases lead us to perform an activity more frequently or with more effort, reward may not always increase our liking for the activity. In some cases, reward may actually make us like an activity less than we did before we were rewarded for it. This outcome is particularly likely when the reward is perceived as an obvious attempt on the part of the others to get us to do something. Yeah, I mean, that's valid. When children are given money by their parents to get good grades in school, they may improve their school performance to gain the reward, but at the same time, their liking for school may decrease. On the other hand, rewards that are seen more internal to the activity, such as rewards that praise us, remind us of our achievements in the domain. Sorry, I finally got that burp out. Make us feel good about ourselves as a result of our accomplishments are more likely to be effective in increasing not only the performance of, but also the liking of the activity. Ryan and Dechi Hulliman, T.S. Durikin, task values, achievement goals, and interests, and okay, that's just all kind of like just fucking research stuff. Other research findings also support the general principle that punishment is generally less effective than reinforcement in changing behavior. In a recent meta-analysis, Gershoff et. Corporal punishment by parents and associated child behaviors and experiences, a meta-analytic and theoretical review, psychological bulletin, found that although children who were spanked by their parents were more likely to immediately comply with the parents' demands, they were also more aggressive, showed less ability to control aggression, and had poor mental health in the long term than children who were not spanked. The problem seems to be that children who are punished for bad behavior are likely to change their behavior only to avoid the punishment, rather than by internalizing the norms of being good for its own sake. Punishment also tends to generate anger, defiance, and a desire for revenge. Moreover, punishment models the use of the aggression and ruptures the important relationship between the teacher and the learner. That's always a rough one. That portion right there is always a rough one, because although I don't agree, study group, hey, what's up, babe? Although I don't agree in hitting your children, I also don't believe that gentle parenting is the way to go sometimes, just because some kids do not give a rat's ass about you being nice to them and will rather just get away with that shit. So, hello, everything very white. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. The whole thing is very like white. It's very black and white. So yeah. Anyways, how you doing, Vay? How you doing? Haven't seen you here in a while. Missed you, bud. Missed you. Reinforcement and social dilemmas. The basic principle of reinforcement, reward, and punishment have been used to help understand the variety of human behaviors. Social Learning and Clinical Psychology, Upper Saddle River, New Jersey. I hate that it does this. The general idea is that as predicted by principles of operant learning and the law of effect, people act in ways that maximize their outcomes, where outcomes are defined as the presence of reinforcers in the absence of punishers. I'm doing good. What about you? I'm doing okay. I went out with friends today, and because it was Emerson's birthday, so happy birthday to him. And yeah, we were just hanging out the whole time. We were hanging out all day, and we went to an arcade. We went to this tavern to go play games together. We were just kind of having a good time. We went to DQ afterwards, and then I just came home. I chilled for a bit to decompress, and I am now reading my textbook because I have a test in the next couple of days, and I just kind of want to get some general knowledge of what's going on. Happy birthday to Emerson. Hell yeah, dude. Happy birthday to Emerson. I love that, man. So unfortunately he isn't here, but you know, hey, that's my goal right there. Good day to be a Friday. No, for real. What have you been up to, babe? What have you been up to? Anything cool going on in your life lately? Anything fun, interesting? Consider, for example, a situation known as the Commons Dilemma, as proposed by the ecologist Garrett Hardin, the tragedy of the commons signs. Hardin noted that in many European towns there was at one time. Okay, sorry. Hardin noted that in many European towns there was at one time a centrally located pasture known as the commons, which is shared by the inhabitants of the village to graze their livestock. But the commons was not always used wisely. The problem was that each individual who owned livestock wanted to be able to use the commons to graze his or her own animals. However, when each group member took advantage of the commons by grazing many animals, the commons became overgrazed. The pasture died and the commons was destroyed. Although Hardin focused on the particular example of the commons, the basic dilemma of individual desires versus the benefit of the group as whole can also be found in many contemporary public goods issues, including the use of limited natural resources, air pollution, and public land. In large cities, most people may prefer the convenience of driving their own car to work each day rather than taking public transportation. Yet, this behavior uses up public goods, the space on limited roadways, crude oil reserves, and clean air. People are lured into the dilemma by short-term rewards, seemingly without consideration the potential long-term costs of the behavior, such as air pollution and the necessity of building even more highways. Word searches. What about word searches? What about them? What about word searches? You had a 3-day sleepover. Oh, nice. Was it with your family or was it with friends? Hope you had a good time, though. Okay. A social dilemma, such as the commons dilemma, is a situation in which the behavior that creates the most positive outcomes for the individual may in the long term lead to negative consequences for the group as a whole. Sorry, excuse me. The dilemmas are arranged in a way that is easy to be selfish because the personally beneficial choice, such as using water during a water shortage, or driving to work alone in one's car, produces reinforcement for the individual. Furthermore, social dilemmas tend to work on a type of time delay. Damn. Didn't continue burping, huh? The problem is that because long-term negative outcome, the extinction of fish species or dramatic changes in the Earth's climate is far away in the future, and the individual benefits are occurring right now. It is difficult for an individual to see how many costs there really are. The paradox, of course, is that if everyone takes it personally, it's a personally selfish choice in an attempt to maximize his or her own outcomes. The long-term result is poor outcomes for every individual in the group. Each individual prefers to make use of the public goods for himself or herself, whereas the best outcome for the group as a whole is to use the resources more slowly and wisely. I have done 37 word searches in the past 2.5 days. Oh shit, that's pretty cool. I love word searches, dude. They're so much fun. With my family, we play board card games most of the time. Went out for ice cream and shopping. Hey, nice. Hey, W. Those are always the nicest moments. I don't remember the last time I ever really had a family moment like that. Yeah. Also, nobody ever told me how adorable cats are. I went to the pet store with my uncle, and I was petting. Dude, cats are amazing. I love cats. I used to be a cat hater back in the day, but now that I have my own cat, I fucking love cats. Oh, I love my cat so much, man. I love my cat so much. Even like, because my aunt, she owns cats as well, and so does her daughter. Every single time I go visit them, I'm always just like having like the time of my life with their cats. I love cats so much, man. They're so nice. I have a cat of my own. I think you guys have heard of her name before. Biscuit. Her name is Biscuit. Biscuit. I'll probably like post pictures eventually of her, but we'll see. One method of understanding how individuals and groups behave in social dilemmas is to create such situations in the laboratory and observe how people react to them. The best known of these laboratory simulations is called the prisoner's dilemma game. Prisoner's Dilemma, New York, New York, Double Day. This game represents a social dilemma in which the goals of the individual compete with the goals of another individual, or sometimes with a group of other individuals. Like all social dilemmas, the prisoner's dilemma assumes that individuals will generally try to maximize their own outcomes in their interactions with the others. In the prisoner's dilemma game, the participants are shown a payoff matrix in which numbers are used to express the potential outcomes for each of the players in the game. Given decisions each player makes, the payoffs are chosen beforehand by the experimenter to create a situation that models some real-world outcome. Furthermore, in the prisoner's dilemma game, the payoffs are normally arranged as they would be in a typical social dilemma, such that each individual is better off acting in his or her own immediate self-interest. And yet, if all individuals act according to their self-interest, then everyone will be worse off. In its original form, the prisoner's dilemma game involves a situation in which two prisoners, we'll call them Frank and Malik, have been accused of committing a crime. Police believe that the two worked together on the crime, but they have only been able to gather enough evidence to convict each of them of a more minor offense. In an attempt to gain more evidence, and thus to be able to convict the prisoners of the larger crime, each of the prisoners is interrogated individually, with the hope that he will confess to having been involved in the more major crime, in return for a promise of reduced sentence if he confesses first. Each prisoner can make either the cooperative choice, which is to not confess, or the competitive choice, which is to confess. They're adorable. I held one of their paws for like 3 minutes, and they all kept hitting their information paper when I was petting them. They're like, yeah, bro, learn about me, learn about cats and stuff like that. I almost dropped my phone. They were so okay. Hold on, what the fuck? They were so freaking cute. I'm sad that I can't have one. I feel like I lost a piece of my heart when I had to walk away. Yeah, that's always the hardest part. Especially when you like go to cat cafes and stuff like that, because some of them are like up for adoption and they want to go to a good home, and it just kind of sucks when you can't adopt them. That's why I hate going to PetSmart and they have like the animal section to it, because I want to take every cat home and just have them have a good time, and sometimes you can't do that, which kind of fucking sucks for them. But when I'm there, I try to like pet them, or I try to like play with them and whatnot if I can, if I get the chance to. No money and not allowed to have a cat. Do you have a dog? Are you allowed to have a dog? Dogs are cool. I like dogs. But I think I've learned that I like cats a little bit more than dogs now. No. Oh, so you can't have any pets. I mean, I guess you do live in a townhome, so I guess it makes sense why you want to be able to do it. It's a little small. Oh, you're allergic to both of them, but not seriously allergic? Damn, that sucks. That sucks. I think Joey's the same way. Joey's allergic to cats, but she can't. She's not like deathly allergic to them, but she's mildly allergic. Oh, and that reason too. The incentives for either confessing or not confessing are expressed in a payoff matrix, such as the one shown. The top of the matrix represents the two choices that Malik might make to either confess that he did a crime or to not confess. The side of the matrix represents the two choices that Frank might make, also to either confess or not confess. The payoff that each prisoner receives, given the choices of each of the two prisoners, are shown in each of the four squares. Yeah, so if either one of them do it. Oh, if they both confess, they both get 10 years. If they don't confess, they get 3 years. Both get 3 years. Damn, that sucks. Okay. If both prisoners take the cooperative choice by not confessing, the situation represented in the upper left square of the matrix, there will be a trial. The limited available information will be used to convict each prisoner, and they each will be sentenced to a relatively short prison term of 3 years. However, if either the prisoner would confesses turning state's evidence against the other prisoner, then there will be enough information to convict the other prisoner of the larger crime, and that prisoner will receive a sentence of 30 years. Whereas the prisoner who confesses will get off free. These outcomes are represented in the lower left and the right squares of the matrix. Finally, it is possible that both players confess at the same time. In this case, there's no need for trial, and in return the prosecutors offer a somewhat reduced sentence of 10 years to each of the prisoners. I took it out if I had any of those. The prisoner's dilemma has two interesting characteristics that make it a useful model of a social dilemma. For one, the prisoner's dilemma is arranged so that positive outcome for one player does not necessarily mean a negative outcome for the other player. If you consider again the matrix in figure 7.11, you can see that if one player takes a cooperative choice to not confess, and the other player takes the competitive choice to confess, then the prisoner who cooperates loses, whereas the other prisoner wins. However, if both prisoners make the cooperative choice, each remaining quiet, then either gains more than the other, and both prisoners receive a relatively light sentence. In this sense, both players can win at the same time. Second, the prisoner's dilemma matrix is arranged so that each individual player is motivated to take the competitive choice, because this choice leads to a higher payoff, regardless of what the other player does. Imagine for a moment that you're Malik and you're trying to decide whether to cooperate, don't confess, or to confess. And imagine that you're not really sure what Frank is going to do. Remember, the goal of the individual is to maximize outcomes. The values in the matrix to make it clear that if you think that Frank is going to confess, you should confess yourself to get 10 rather than 30 years in prison. It's also clear that if you think Frank is not going to confess, you should still confess to get 0 rather than 3 years in prison. So the matrix is arranged such that the best alternative for each player, at least in the sense of pure reward and self-interest, is to make the competitive choice, even though in the end both players would prefer the combination of which both players cooperate in the end. Although initially specified in terms of the two prisoners, similar payoff matrices can be used to predict behavior in many different types of dilemmas involving two or more parties, and including choices of helping and not helping, working and loafing, and paying and not paying debts. For instance, we can use a prisoner's dilemma to help understand roommates living together in a house who might not want to contribute to the housework. Each of them will be better off if they relied on the other to clean the house. Yet, if neither of them makes the effort to clean the house becomes a mess and will both be worse off. Damn. I'd want 3 instead of 10. Yeah, honestly, same. But it all depends on the other person that you're with, if they'll do it too or not. Okay, the chapter summary. Classical conditioning was first studied by physiologist Ivan Pavlov. In classical conditioning, a person or animal learns to associate a neutral stimulus, conditioned stimulus, CS, with the stimulus, the unconditioned stimulus, or US. I don't feel like reading all that. I've already learned the majority of it already. Well, that is chapter 7. I think I still need to read chapter 5. The states of consciousness. But I'll probably leave that one for tomorrow, if I'm being honest with you. I really don't feel like reading this right now. I think narcolepsy. I think I read this part already about narcolepsy and how they study the brain. The feelings and behaviors part. I think I've already done this one too. Actually, no, not really. No, I've not done this part. Nope. Yeah, because I don't remember learning much about this. Kind of interesting how you can like do stuff without drugs. Like, you can just fuck up your brain. Bro, Vay, have you ever heard of the sensory deprivation tanks? It's basically like a big tank of water in which you just kind of lay in and just chill there, and that's all. That's all you do. That's all you do in that thing. It's so weird. I've heard people have like panic attacks in there. Too many words for me. Valid. That's very random. What do you mean that's very random? Oh, it's a part of my textbook, so that's why I brought it up. Because I just saw it. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a thing that I remember seeing a video of many years ago. I forget who made that video, but somebody made it. Somebody made that video. It's really interesting. But just like in the yellow, let me show you a video. Let me show you a video. Let me see. Let me see if I can find the video. What the fuck? Let me see. What's it called again? Sensory deprivation. There we go. Hmm. Okay, sensory deprivation. Okay, I found the video. Let me see. Which one isn't too long, but like, so kind of explains a little bit about everything. Sitting at 2:30 o'clock in the morning. Yep, yep, yep. There was one night where I spent like like 8 hours studying before my test. Let me see. I don't really know. There was like one. Um, I think he did it. Damn, 23 minutes long is crazy. I don't really know if I want to make you watch a 23-minute long video. Um, mm, no, no, I'm not gonna make you do it. I'm not gonna make you watch a video like that. Um, Let me see. There's a BuzzFeed video. Here, we'll watch a BuzzFeed video. Maybe a 6-second video instead. Okay, maybe. How about how about no? How about no? How about we actually watch a video? It's not gonna be too long. I promise you that. I promise you that. There we go. I found it. I found it. Here, I found one. I found one. I found one. I found one. I'm in studio mode. That's what's going on. I don't know if this is gonna explain enough. But if anything, I could probably explain a little bit. So what exactly it is. Oh shit! I just realized that I'm not really showing the video. Yeah, this is like 4 minutes and 33 seconds long. God, I hated BuzzFeed. Actually, I like them a lot, but I hate it now. Okay, a float chamber provides a light and sound-free environment. Each chamber contains a solution heated to external body temperature around 95 degrees Fahrenheit with a high concentration of Epsom salt, which allows the body to float effortlessly. Okay, there we go. I don't really know if it goes into detail. They are thought to improve creativity, help with stress, depression, anxiety, and PTSD.
I feel like I'm in the future. There is a hallway that looks like the twins from The Shiny are gonna come out.
Always wanted to try this. I guess there's like more.
Bro, that video, that contraption in the background scared the fuck out of me.
I guess there's like more salt than the Dead Sea, so your body just floats.
I can honestly say I don't think I've ever gone 2 hours without looking at my phone.
Some days I think I'm looking at a screen like 99% of the time I'm awake.
I want it to be
Probably,
like
yeah.
experience, but I know, like, if you delve into these deeper parts of your subconscious, it can get dark too.
I have a lot of anxiety and I stress about a lot of things.
I'm a little nervous about like being closed in and like being alone with my thoughts. Would it drive you crazy? I don't know.
These chambers take you into yourself to a place that you've never been, you know. And then if you want to start to go and let stuff loose that you previously were bound up by, which is the objective in life, I think, is to let go of things that hold you somewhere that you don't want to be. But this gives you a chance, I think.
I don't want to be an asshole. This guy looked like he took LSD when he was like in like his early 20s, and it's just like yeah. This is like taking LSD, but yeah.
To let go of things that hold you somewhere that you don't want to be. But this gives you a chance to get out of that. Don't wear anything in the chamber and make sure your cell phone's turned off. If anybody's wearing a swimsuit or whatever you put on to go in there with, we could tell. If somebody wears a set of shorts in there or something like that, Arrested Development, remember the Never Naked?
This guy seems like a psychopath.
Inside, close the door, lay on your back, put your feet down towards the door of the chamber, and then you can put your hands like this way like that way like this, you know. I think
Okay, I just want to point out she's very attractive, and that's all. That's all I wanted to say.
the three of you are adequately prepared for this adventure. You guys ready to hit this?
All right, let's go.
Let's hit it. These chambers take you into yourself to a place that you've never been.
See you in 2 hours.
2 hours, dude? I've heard an hour, but 2 hours is crazy. 2 hours later. Okay, let's see what this is.
Well, you like sit up and you like find the door to try to like get some light in.
Damn, they all look like.
Literally being born. Don't know what my body is anymore.
It was so dark. It was terrifying at first. I was like, what the hell am I doing?
I went to
Let's read the
sleep,
comments.
and I'm still there.
In the first 5 minutes, I almost literally like jumped out of the tank. It was like, this, I'm not gonna do this.
At the beginning, I was thinking about emails and like errands I still have to run today. You just sort of like get this calm that comes over you. You're like, look, just be in the moment now. Like you came here to do this. Just do it. Don't worry about that shit. It's handled.
Because you're floating and the water is the same temperature as your body, you like lose your body. So you're just like a brain in a jar kind of vibe.
The concept of time was very different than I thought. Like, I thought I was just in there for like 15, 20 minutes, and they like knocked on the door.
Your ears are plugged and there's no light or anything. There's no senses at all. So it's
Yeah.
just your breath, your heartbeat, and nothing else.
It was the first time I ever felt that it was okay to be with my mind. And I've never had that before, so I think that's like a pretty big step for me.
You kind of die.
Okay, whoa.
Body anymore, so it's a death in a way. It was like an ego death.
Some weird miracle, but after getting out, I don't even want to be on my phone. Looking at my
It's
phone.
only 3. Oh my gosh, yeah.
I distract myself from myself.
Don't be afraid to be alone with your thoughts, like, cause that.
But yeah, basically a the gist of it is that you basically get put in a tub and or like a big body of water with nothing around you. They plug up your ears. There's no light. Nothing goes on. You're just kind of there chilling, and you kind of just like let everything loose. You don't care about anything, and that's really how it is. And it's really interesting. I don't know. It's been one of those things that I've always wanted to do, but it just seems so crazy to do because of how you feel afterwards. I'm just like, damn. I don't know. Oh no.
Yeah, and I mean when we
I don't know. But yeah, that's what that is. That's what that is. That's what that is. Oh my god. Anyway, what time are you going to go to sleep, babe? That's a real question. Doom, 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 doom. Lately, I've been feeling. Do 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 do. Let me do my discussion for this class. Do 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 do. Figaro, 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 Figaro. The bubble doll. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, it's a TED Talk. I'll watch that later. Oh, that's pretty cool. Actually, I'm gonna watch this video in a bit. I kind of want to play some games too. Even though I spent like a good chunk of the day playing games already. What? Where's the Bobo doll video? I remember seeing it earlier. Oh, there we go. No. Was it this one? Should be this one. It's the Bobo doll? Yeah. I'm getting pretty tired already. What about you? It's okay. Spend more time. Just spend more time on games. We'll see. We'll see. You should probably go to sleep though. You should probably go to sleep. I mean, if you're feeling that tired, probably just call it a night and go to sleep. That way you don't like overdo it. Just get some rest, dude. Get some rest. Get some rest. Get some rest. Get some rest. Okay, I will then. All right, Vay. Good night. See you later, dude. Have a good rest of your night. How much storage do I have on my computer right now? 61 gigabytes. Sleep well. Thank you. You too, Vay. Have a good night, dude. I'll see you later. It alligator. How big is Rainbow now? I haven't played the game in a while. I kind of do miss it in a way. Should probably go to sleep soon though, so I can get enough rest so I can go to boxing later. Oh great! I need to log in. Nope, not doing that. Not doing that. I don't know what I'm doing at this point. You guys don't play this game? Okay, still going. It's still going. Probably play one like run round of tier and then call it a night. Oh my god, I'm so tired, so sleepy. Running install script. What the hell? I just want to play the game. Please let me have anything. I'm probably just end up quitting it. Oh, did I study for? Almost an hour. Almost an hour. Almost an hour. Probably end up archiving this video. Oh, sorry, this stream. Oh my god. Is this not gonna work right now? What does this even mean? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I just want to play the game, man. What? Why is it being weird? Okay, let me just let me uninstall the game and reinstall it then. Hopefully install quickly. Hopefully. Please load, please load. Okay, let's see if it launches now. I'm still running the install script. Oh my god. I just want to play my game, my tank game, please. Oh, it's launching! It's launching! The game is launching! Let's go! Alright, we get to finally play the game. It's time to play the game! Tear. Let's get this thing going. Oh my god. There we go. What? They closed the matchmaking. Well, that's fucking lame.
What can I say? I was born for this.
What a lame.
The quiet of the battlefield. So much potential. Bounced.
That is the only thing I can hit right there.
The next one won't
Blocked
bounce.
again.
Target identified.
Okay, why isn't it letting me hit those but not these? Oh my god, you completely missed. Jesus Christ. It's not really that strong, actually, if I think about it.
Ah, shot's good. Another one for a pile.
My question is, why is it that it's like acting weird? I don't know. There's no point in me playing anymore. I'm just gonna go to bed. I think I can play the game, but again, July 18th when I can play again. Whatever. Well, I'm gonna get my storage back, please and thank you. There we go. And we're gonna end the stream right there because I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed. So I will see all of you guys on the next stream. Thank you very much.